One of the things that I've started doing this year is taking notes while I'm reading books. I read a lot of books and I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I came to the conclusion that 6 months afterwards, I maybe remember one, two, maybe three big ideas from the book, but not much more. And I've heard the comment that you should take book notes, and I've started doing this using the Notes app. And I found out that even just writing down the notes, so I ride on my bike, listen to an audiobook, I hear a concept that I want to remember, so I stop the bike, put up the app and write the notes. So I write bullet points for each book. And just writing that makes me remember much more. So now I have all of the notes that I had from the books I've read recently, and I think it makes a big impact on my retention of the ideas from this book. I'm telling you this because I'm going to start a new book review on this show. And today I want to share with you some of my notes and some of my takeaways from reading a really great book recommended to me by John, the CEO of AJ and Smart, a few weeks ago on the blog here. The book is called Radical Candor. Basically, it's a book about how to be a good boss. He recommended this book to me when we were discussing moving to an agency or hiring a team, and I really took a lot from this book. So I'm one of the people who really believe the sentence that people don't leave jobs, they leave their boss. And I know from my own experience that every time I left a full-time position, it was because I didn't work out with my boss. Either I didn't feel like I was growing anymore, or I didn't really believe their leadership in a way. And so I've put out kind of a goal for myself that when I'm growing my team, I will try to make my best to be a good boss. Now, here's the big concept or premise of the book, Radical Candor. What Kim says, Kim is the author of the book, and she worked in Google, managed the AdSense team, like 700 people, and then worked in Apple. So she has a lot of great stories from the tech scene. But her biggest premise of the book is that to be a good boss, you have to do two things. You have to care personally about the people who work for you, and you have to be really open with feedback. You have to give them direct feedback, even if that's not really nice to do, if it doesn't feel very nice, because if you're not going to challenge them, she calls it challenge directly. If you're not going to challenge them directly, they're not going to be growing. They're not going to be improving. So a lot of bosses feel really hard to challenge people. So they care about the people who work for them, but they're being actually too nice for them. And Kim calls this empathetically ruinous. So because you're trying not to hurt their feeling, you're actually hurting their growth. And on the other side, there are people who just give really good feedback or clear feedback to people, but they don't care about them. And those types of bosses get to be seen as obnoxiously aggressive because they don't care about it. They're just telling you this sucks. Even if it does suck, it doesn't feel very nice. But at least those people getting better results because at least they're giving feedback that helps their people to progress. And not even talking about the people who don't care about the people who work for them and not giving them feedback. That's just manipulative, deceivingly bad. So what she says is that you really have to care for them, but give them feedback. And that feedback might not always be nice, but if you're doing this from a place of guidance, from a place of coming to help them, then this is how you're going to create trust with them, and they're going to be much more happily accepting your guidance and feedback and improving, and the results of the whole team will improve. So basically the book is divided into two parts. The first part is dedicated to explaining and selling you on this idea of why you should be radical candor with your team. The other part is really much more focused on the tactics of how to give and get feedback from your team. And this whole framework is right with your team, the people who work for you, but it's also a great idea to try to implement this with the people you work for. So give them good feedback, care about them, get feedback from them. So she talks a lot about how to give feedback, how to take feedback, and how to manage the team by creating the cycle of productivity, which, let me see if I can get this right. You have to listen, you have to clarify, you have to debate, then you make a decision, then you persuade everybody on that decision, then you execute, and then you learn. Well, I'm not going to go into explaining all of this. Obviously, you have to write the book, but the concept here is very interesting. She's telling you that you have to debate idea, you have to listen to everybody. The boss doesn't always have the best answer, and the boss's role is to actually create a process where the people who do know the best, get into most interaction with the problem itself, they should be able to get the position to make the decisions, and the boss only have to create the process to make the best decisions come to execution. And then you have to sell the whole team about why this is the decision that we're going to execute, because if everybody is not sold on this, then probably not everybody is going to execute on this. I really, really recommend this book. I think there was a lot of good takeaways on how to be a good boss, which is something so important because so many bosses are just not good, and it creates unproductivity for their company, but a lot of misery for the people who work for them. So I set a goal for myself that I want to be a good boss when I have a team. Honestly, I was just managing one designer in one of the companies that I was working with, but now I'm aiming to grow a team either for my freelance business or for Prospero. So I think now I'm coming from a place of knowledge, and I will try to set up my team based on the framework that Kim suggested. On another personal note, this book is written very, very open and authentic, and she shares a lot of her story and her struggles as a boss. And one story that was really impactful for me, she was working for Sheryl Sandberg, which is now the COO of Facebook, and she's really acclaimed for being a great leader. She was sharing a story when she was giving a presentation, and Sheryl came to her later and tried to give her a feedback. She said, "You say a lot of." And she didn't really take this seriously, and so Sheryl had to be really, really upfront and kind of brutal with her and telling her, look, when you say people think you are stupid. And only when she gave her that direct feedback, she really understood the impact. But Sheryl didn't just say this to make her look bad. She then worked with her to find her a coach that would help her give better presentation and actually stop saying So even though the story is very important to demonstrate Sheryl's leadership capabilities, what it meant to me is now that I'm editing my videos, I started to hear how much times I'm saying and now I feel stupid with myself. I counted on a few videos that I'm saying maybe 17 times in a 5-minute video. So it really impacted me, and now I'm trying to change that for myself. So I looked up some videos on YouTube on how to say and I'm happy to say that on the last week, I think I brought down my count to maybe 3 per video. So I'm making a progress, but I'm aiming to eradicate that completely. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this video, because I do want to share with you, I'm reading a lot of books. I'm reading a book about creative strategy at the moment. I'm taking notes on everybody, and I think about sharing those notes and ideas with you here. So let me know if you like this type of video. Have a great day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.